This is episode 96 of the Schmozone podcast featuring Helen Yee Sports. I'm Dave Schmulenson, a.k.a. the Schmo. Our guest today for episode 96 is Kru Bob Perez.
Thanks for having me, guys. Great to see you.
Great to see you, too. For everyone who's listening to this podcast and like, you introduced him as Kru Bob Perez, not Coach Bob Perez. Tell the audience why it's Kru Bob Perez.
It literally means teacher. It's the Thai word for teacher. And boxing my whole life, Muay Thai for about 26 years now. So Sports Authority of Thailand kind of years ago gave me, I guess, the okay to teach Muay Thai, and then Saxington Jerry, my Muay Thai coach, also gave me his blessing. So it just means teacher. But Coach Bob, whatever, I'm good with it.
And the best stash in the UFC.
Man, I've seen some good ones, man. I have an up-and-comer amateur. It kind of puts me to shame. So
well, he's not in the UFC yet.
Not yet. So yeah, you might be right. You might be right.
And a little fun fact too: Bob Perez has known that David and I were a couple probably before most people. Like, you were one of the first people to know.
That's been, it was like early spring of 2019, I believe.
Yeah.
And I liked it. I liked it from the jump, man. And look at you guys, man. You're killing it.
Well, we really appreciate the time you hosted us at your home.
Yes.
When we came to the gym, we filmed some great content.
Main Street Boxing and Muay Thai.
Yes,
shout out to there in Houston.
Thank you.
And for those who aren't familiar, you are the head coach of heavyweight Derrick Lewis, the Black Beast, one of the most entertaining figures in all of professional sports, not just MMA.
Yes.
But you hosted us. We had some great content with him, and we always do over the years, and very gracious and always great times, great food, and thank you for everything over the years.
Thank you guys, and always an open invite for you guys. Yeah, Jen and I, we've been empty nesters for a while, but recently our youngest came back with our grandson. So they're staying with us for a while, which is awesome. But we still have extra rooms for you guys, though, for sure.
We appreciate that.
So you're here this week, UFC 272. Mm-hmm. You're going to be cornering Kevin Holland, someone that you've worked with since, I believe, 2020. But
2020.
You're cornering him for the first time.
Yeah, this is the first time, and you're always kind of not apprehensive. That's not the right word. You just don't know how it's going to go. Kevin's been amazing. I love that kid, man. Yeah, everybody knows Big Mouth, but I know Kevin, and he's a great young man.
So are you going to get Big Mouth to be able to listen to you?
Man, that's going to be interesting, man. Somebody like Derrick, you let him fight how they fight. And I think Kev is very similar. You just kind of have to let him do his thing. Of course, we do have plan A, B, C, D, in the fight, things that we're going to look to do or things that we're going to look for. Now, whether or not he follows or addresses it, yet to be seen, but the kid can be on autopilot and do well.
Well, how did he approach you to ask you to corner him this weekend?
This was probably, oh my gosh, maybe a month ago. He was in Houston training. He comes down, periodically to train with me. And I finished his session, and he's still in the ring, kind of like taking his, I think, wraps off. And he's like, "Hey, man, what are you doing March 5th?" And I'm like, I don't think I have anything. What's up? He's like, "Hey, would you corner me?" I'm like, "Absolutely, absolutely." So it's always an honor. This is my 66th UFC corner.
Wow.
I've tracked every fight I've ever cornered, no matter how small or big.
And your room, you have like a room dedicated to all your...
Just all my memories,
yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah, thank you. You get so many fighters and friends throughout the year. You kind of have to, or throughout the years, a lot of them, kind of change out or whatever. But I go in there every night. I know it sounds cheesy, but you just kind of look around like, man, this is a pretty cool life.
Well, I remember when we went in that room a couple of years ago, you said your favorite moment was it the MSG fight with Derrick Lewis and Daniel Cormier?
It was probably the Volkov fight that you're referring to. That was at T-Mobile.
T-Mobile.
Where we just kind of, I kind of had to light a fire under him. We're down 4, and, he did exactly what he needed to do and what I asked him to do. And those moments are kind of a thing of beauty and very rare in in coaching or cornering fighters. We've had a few occasions with like Gonzaga, to hit a certain combo, but that one was just perfect, and it was one of the best knockouts or comebacks ever. It was pretty awesome.
And his balls was hot.
That's the day. That's the day, man. I don't know if you know this or not, but you can probably go back and watch the video because I don't know what Derrick's going to do. I've talked to you about that. Like, I don't know. So he's taking his shorts off, and you can see me, like, mumbling, like, what the F are you doing? And he's like, watch. So the wheels are already starting to turn. And then, the cup guy, Derrick throwing the cup out there.
Yeah.
He was in Houston for the fight, and we're in the elevator together. And, like, I'm like, bro, what the hell were you thinking, picking up Derrick's cup like that? Because one of our fighters, our students at the gym made this really cool video of him put Take My Breath Away by Berlin, like the music was playing. And he's like, dude, if I knew I was going to get this much shit about it, he's like, I would have never done that. But he was a really cool guy.
Would he have drank from a cup had he won in Houston?
Derrick,
would he have taken?
God, no.
Okay.
Derrick is a massive, massive germaphobe, dude. And so when I hand Derrick his water, these fingers are like, I'm like a T-Rex. They are so strong because when I get his water in between rounds at the gym, I cannot touch anything but the top of that cap because if I do, he won't drink it, man, because dirty germs. So no, cup, hell no, he would not do that.
Would he eat chicken feet before drinking out of his cup?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for sure. So you might have to give him that option A, option B, man. You have to do one. But he would definitely do that before drinking out of a cup.
Well, let's circle back to Derrick Lewis, but let's finish up on Kevin Holland.
Mm-hmm.
He's going down to 170. This is not his first time fighting at 170, but it's his first time fighting at 170 in the UFC.
Correct.
But what a lot of people don't realize is, like, he's not a huge middleweight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's easy for him. If he has to really cut weight at all, he's always weighing in at under 185-pound limit. Yeah. Like, how smooth is this week going for him for the 170 pounds?
Man, it's been pretty, easy for me as a coach. I haven't had to do, any babysitting. And that's the only way, I don't want to say it incorrectly, but one of my jobs in fight week is to make sure you as fighters need everything that I get you everything you need. You make weight and fight. That's it. That being said, Kevin, the PI's doing all of his nutrition. He's following it to a T. Last night he went to bed at 80. He woke up at 80 this morning. Tomorrow he'll probably wake up 78. So we'll have 8 pounds of water to cut, 7 pounds of water to cut. And it's been like clockwork, man. But I wasn't here for other fights, like I said, but I know going to the arena, fighting at middleweight, they check weight before you leave to the arena or when you get there, and 90, 91, 92 at the heaviest, and he'll weigh in 85, 86. So this is his weight. And I've always said it. He's done, I think, obviously he had an excellent 2020. 2021 wasn't so hot, but he fought some top-notch guys, like late notice fights. Guys are a lot bigger, I don't know what Vettori weighs going into a fight, but man, it's a lot. He's a big dude. And Kevin, I think at this weight class he's going to have some really good reach, really good length, and he's got a lot of pop.
And he's fought the who's who in that division.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. He's kind of like Derrick, we're joking about it, you're a smaller Derrick, hey, do you want to fight so and so? Okay. That's it. Call Big Mouth.
Well, how do you like the matchup, him versus Alex Oliveira? Man,
I love it. I think it's a really good fight for Kev. I think it's a good fight, period. But I do like it stylistically for Kev. He's got length. I think he's got speed. I think Cowboy is very powerful. I think Kevin is just as powerful, if not more pop in his hands. But yeah, I see Kevin winning this fight for sure. And
earlier, behind the scenes, we were talking about him fighting the troll.
Yeah.
It was at your gym,
It was
right?
at my gym, yeah. Do you want me to talk about it? Or
Yeah. Well, first off, Kevin better win this fight, though, because on the Triple C and Schmo show with Henry Sudo, we do this weekly show. Yeah. He's betting on Oliveira to win. Okay. It's 50 push-ups in a Speedo while eating Cheetos for the loser. I got Kevin Holland winning.
Yeah, tell him to get those Cheetos ready, man.
Flaming hot, too.
Yeah, he's gonna lose. He's gonna lose.
I think so, too.
All respect to Henry, but brother, you messed up on this one.
I think so, too. I think he just loves to side with the Brazilians now that he's got a Brazilian wife.
That's it, man. I I can't blame him. I can't blame him, you know. But, yeah, I think we're going to win this one.
Yeah. All right. Now tell us about the troll, right?
So it was actually the day of when Derrick and Ty fought, and I had to go to the gym early that Saturday to work with Kevin and Johnny Parsons, you know, and then get on with the rest of my day for the fight. So I'm pulling up to the gym, and Coach Shug, who is Kevin's longtime boxing coach, is like, Coach, where you at? I said, I'm pulling up. And like the next words out of his mouth, is it okay if Kevin fights a troll? I'm like, fine. Just make sure he signs a waiver. I'm on my way in. So I walk in, and I see this young kid, you know, sitting in the lobby. And, I mean, just nice, average kid, man. He just ran his mouth a little too much. And he's like, hey, Coach Bob. I'm like, hey, buddy, are you the one fighting Kevin? He's like, yes, sir. Very nice. So Coach Shug's walking up the stairs, and I kind of like look at him like, hey, bud, like, just give me a sign. You know, tell me, wink, shake your head. You don't have to fight Kevin. I was like, you say the word, and I'll be the bad guy. I'll pull the plug on it. He's like, no, sir, I'll fight him. I'm like, well, then you're going to have to take your medicine for sure. And he took it like a man. He went up there. Kevin was really cool. Kevin made it very clear. He's like, man, I'm not going to hurt the kid, just beat up his body a bit. But and he got in there and did his thing. But, yeah, I think it was definitely an eye-opener for that kid. I think a lot of times, you know, some of these people, Kevin had another one back home in Fort Worth, you know, at Luter's Academy that, you know, a guy was just trolling him about his wrestling or whatever, and he was confident he could, you know, take him down or sub him or whatever he said, and Kevin just smashed him. But he's been super kind, you know, during these, like, you know, fights or whatever, or lessons taught. You know, he's been ultra kind. Derrick is not.
Yeah. Kevin shows mercy. Derrick on the other hand.
Once he gets to that point, you're going to sleep, man, for sure.
And that's what Derrick did to the troll, right?
Yeah, well, to two of them. So everybody saw the one with the guy that said he was a boxer. And there was a lot leading up to that morning. And then finally, Derrick was really angry. And, I mean, the guy was out on the ropes, and, you know, Derrick's still pounding him out. And I was like, keep going. At that point, I don't care. Because you poked at the bear so much. Like, it's whatever, man. You signed the waiver. It says up to and including death on it. So, you know what, man? That's on you. You're a dumbass, you know, for getting in there. But I showed you guys a video, and I never put it out there with a head kick. Derrick head kicked that guy, and, you know, he was on Ariel, I don't know, a month or so ago, and Derrick brought it up, and that guy was like, man, I want a rematch. No, dude, no, let's not do that for sure.
How many trolls has he fought?
Just those two.
Oh, okay.
Just those two. There was another guy that had come in, but he was actually really cool. He just kind of wanted to see how Derrick, like, felt, and he learned real quick. And Derrick was ultra kind about that, because it was just kind of like, man, I want to see, you know, and I think this guy thought he was, like, a heavyweight fighter, and he's not. So, yeah.
Never a dull moment in your gym.
No, yeah. And I love our gym. And, you know, I don't want to give, like, a misconception. We're not that gym. You know, I'd rather you join our gym, become a member of the team. You know, we're all happy. You know, we can fight, you know, get you fights. We all make money, have fun. But if it gets to a point where, like, they're just not listening to reason, I have no issues greenlighting them.
Well, I saw you guys open the door for Stylebender, the champion in Houston, too, and his whole team was there.
They were amazing people, man. Amazing people. And I respect so many coaches out there, but Coach Eugene, I just kind of, like, I give him their space, but I'll just kind of, like, watch. And because I'm always trying to grow or evolve myself, and he's super knowledgeable. The whole crew was amazing. Izzy's work ethic is amazing. And it was just really, it was cool. I guess fans saw on maybe Embedded that he was at the gym. So he started Saturday night. They came in early and get acclimated. Started Saturday night like at 7:30. Came back Sunday. And as the week progressed, they changed the time so his body, you know, and his internal clock was getting ready for fight time. But on that Sunday, I see them park, and I kind of walked them in, and the film crew's there. And this, like, fanboy jumps out from behind like a tree and was like, hey, Izzy, I'm a fan. Will you sign this? And Izzy was cool, but, like, all that could go through my head, like, Izzy rolled deep to the gym. It's like, bro, you almost, like, you could have gotten smashed for that. But as each day progressed and the I guess, episodes of Embedded were shown, just you had 20, 30, 40, like, fanboys just kind of, like, hanging out outside the gym, you know. And towards the end, Izzy's people, and Izzy, I think he was like their bodyguard, really cool guy that was like, or security that's like, no, man, like, you're not going to get close to Izzy. But he was really cool, like, the first time. and he signs stuff, and he's an amazing person. But man, like, he's here to work, and he's here to train, and he's starting to cut weight, and it's a massive fight. Like, leave him alone.
Well, do the fans ever do that to Derrick, or just camp out and wait for him to walk out?
A lot of, I think most people know that he trains at the gym. What's weird is like his newest Lambo, like when he parks it outside.
Loves cars.
Oh God, he does. But this Lambo, and I don't even know I know nothing about cars, but it's a nice ride. But people will just stop and like take pictures with it, or I don't even know if they know it's Derrick's. But he also has a massive truck.
Yeah,
that
the
says
red
the
one,
Black
right?
Beast all over it. And he's like, how the fuck they know I'm here? Well, bro, your truck literally says the Black Beast, and it's parked right in front. Take that shit off your truck if you don't want him to know where you're at, man. But Derrick's always cool with fans. He's always cool with fans.
Yeah, he's definitely a fan favorite. And how is he doing?
He's doing great, man. Losing sucks, and it's hard. Ty was a gentleman and a great sport about it. And I saw Derrick for the first time because I always give him his space. So I visited him earlier in the week. I forget when, but Monday. It must have been Monday. And he looked great. He's fine. He'll fight again probably late summer, maybe August. But it was a tough one, and it's always difficult for these men and women that get in there to take a loss in front of the world, man. It sucks. It's hard.
What do you think the likelihood is of him fighting back in Houston?
Man, I honestly, I'll nip it in the bud now. The Cyril fight obviously was just tremendous pressure. He couldn't perform. Ty, he was doing phenomenal, and then got caught with a nice right hand and a nice elbow. But yeah, I think, even though this one, Derrick's attitude, his demeanor, it was great. We had an amazing fight week, just like the Dawkins fight camp in like a couple months before. It was amazing. The Cyril one was horrible, that fight week. But man, I think I'll just kind of I was a baseball player, as you know, and I'm kind of superstitious, and I'm like, yeah, we're done. We'll fight Dallas, Austin. We're not doing Houston again for sure.
Well, speaking of being a baseball guy, I know in your hometown specifically, like Carlos Correa and stuff, and Bregman, they've come to the gym, they work. And I know you told me when James Harden's been in town, you've seen the Rockets players like Westbrook at the time too.
Yeah.
They've come in.
Yeah.
So who hits harder between the baseball players and the basketball players?
Dude, let me tell you this. James Harden hits like this, first of all. He literally, he's like, no video, no photos, and that's why. So, all I could think of in my head was dude, if a fight breaks out, run. Run as fast as you can, bro. But he's a massive man that, just doesn't hit too hard. Carlos and Lance McCullers are just studs. To where I've never trained Bregman, but it's amazing to see such high-level athletes knowing where they're at in their sport. I think they could do so many things because everything they give it everything. And they're Lance and Carlos are huge MMA fans. They have their own podcast.
Yeah, they're a podcast.
They're very knowledgeable. I think they really respect the fighters and the art and the sport. And, man, they work their asses
Carlos
off.
left us tickets last time we were in Houston during the UFC fight to watch the Astros game. We sat in his family seats.
Oh, that's amazing.
He's a man.
Shout out to Carlos.
Yes, man, I love him. I trained his dad and his sister as well. They have a new baby, so, Mama Bear doesn't want him to come to the gym, so he respects that, and I'll train him at the house or whatever, but he's a great, great person. We've lost. I've always loved my Astros. We've lost several over the years, but he would be one where I would be genuinely sad if we lost him, man. But when I first trained him, after all the season was over and everything, I'm like, dude, I'll never talk business with you. But all the guys said, please don't leave. I'm gonna leave it at that. That's it.
It's depressing what's going on in baseball, too. They had to cancel, the opening series and stuff like that.
Yes.
This is the first time they're not playing games in a season since the 94-95 season lockout.
It's insane. It's sad, man. It's crazy times. It's just crazy times for sure. Speaking of baseball, did you see D throw out the first pitch? I know you did.
Yes.
It was horrendous.
Yeah.
It was horrendous.
But it was better than Conor McGregor's at Wrigley.
I didn't see Conor's.
They're pretty bad. They're probably on the same level. But, I was not impressed with Derrick's throw.
Well, but I was not either. So it was funny. I was more excited than he was when his manager called me. I'm like, hell yeah, you'll do it. I had no idea. And, I had a feeling he'd ask me to go. And like I said, I played ball up into my mid-20s, but I'd never been on the field in a stadium like that. And it is just like just mind-blowing, like how small you feel there. So when I got news, I still like tossed the ball around with my grandkids or whatever. And so I took a bucket and I marked off 60 feet, 6 inches. And I'm like, hey, man, let's practice. And he's like, man, this shit's easy. I said, what? I said, Derrick, I said, you've never really thrown a baseball. Your hands are this big. The ball is this big. I said, you're going to squeeze that damn thing as hard as you can, and it's going to hit the ground. And he's like, no, man, I got this. So as we're walking out of the tunnel, and I'm like, just like in a fight, I'm like, all right, Black Beast, let's go. And he's like, man, I'm more nervous than when I fight. And I don't know if you saw, but after like he bombed the pitch, Orbit, the mascot, pulled out a sign and said, he's okay.
Yes,
I thought that was so clever.
It was awesome. But, man, it's moments like that. Like, I'm going to bust his balls about that forever. But, like, just as a friend, like, I'm so happy for him, like to know where he's been and what he's been through, and to see him throwing out the first pitch, like, dude, that's so cool, so cool. I'm happy for him.
It's a bucket list thing.
Absolutely,
it's huge.
Absolutely.
Well, I know you mentioned that he's someone who's down to basically fight anybody, but as his coach, who would you ideally like to see him fight next in the summertime?
Man, in regards to like ranking or title contention or whatever, that's not even going through our minds right now. So to answer your question, just kind of looking at the top 10, he's fought everybody with the exception of, Stipe's turned him down a couple times. So we're like, and I know that fight's not going to happen, so we're not going to ask for it again, because we'd asked for that before Ty was offered to us after, like, we're like, hey, can we fight Stipe next? In
February.
Whenever it was going to be. Yeah, exactly, for this last one. Okay. And it doesn't mean that we were going to fight Stipe like that same night, but, like soon. So Jairzinho's the only one that pops in my head that he hasn't fought in the top 10.
We randomly ran into Jairzinho.
We did.
Yeah, and he's a great dude. Like,
great guy.
We've tried to avoid it as much as we can because
management.
Lou manages both of them. He loves them both, but it's going to be, I think, inevitable, for sure.
But I could also see the UFC trying to, like, there's the up-and-coming guys, guys that have just cracked the top 15, like Tom Aspinall is fighting Volkov. Yeah. I could see them, if Tom Aspinall wins, trying to have him
We would absolutely do that. It's the thing with Derrick, and I don't think people believe me, but he really doesn't watch the UFC. And you say, hey, will you fight so-and-so? He's like, okay, has no idea who they are. He just says, okay, that's it. I think in all these years together, 24 fights in the UFC, he said no one time, but it was something either medical or like family. I don't remember, but like Derrick has never said no, ever.
Well, you've accomplished so much and obviously so much together with Derrick as well. Mm-hmm. But when you reflect kind of on your journey too, what moment are you most proud of?
Man, every time he steps in the cage, and like every time from like the first UFC to now, like I always kind of look at him, and it's almost like a proud dad. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, dude, I'm so freaking proud of you, man. To hear the crowd and to see him, like, just being successful, whether he ever captures a title or not, he's probably going to be a Hall of Famer. He's a knockout king. Like, he's a millionaire. Like, dude, you've done so well, and he's still got a lot of fight left in him. I just want him to quit when he's ready to quit. I never want him to fight because he has to fight financially. But, man, to answer your question, every time he gets in there, I really do. I just kind of look at him like, dude, you're the man.
See, that's what I think I butchered at the beginning of the podcast. I think when I did that IG Live with you, you had, like, the shorts or the fight kit from the fight with DC, and you're, like, at that moment, but before the fight and everything like that, yes. I'm so proud of you.
No, absolutely. So, like, when Derrick's fighting one of the GOATs, and I think we had 28 days, 21 to prepare, and, like, it's MSG. Like, dude, you made it, you made it. So, of course he's sad, lost to Cyril, sad, but he made it to 2 title shots, man. And, like, you make it to the Super Bowl a couple times, you win or lose, you made it to the Super Bowl. Like, I'm so proud of him.
And how difficult is it to be a top 5 fighter in any weight division in the UFC, in the best organization in the world?
It is so hard, man. I think that's why, a lot of people, and I know you have so many educated fans and some that are new, I don't think they have any idea how difficult fighting is. I really, at this level, it's so hard. You know, you can look at, you know, Carlos Correa, and that guy sucks. No, that guy's one of the best in the world. That's why you're paying to watch him. You know, like they're the best at what they do. And all of these men and women that are in the UFC, especially the top 5, are amazing at what they do.
And like you mentioned, he's also the knockout king. So how hard is that, right? To knock out that many opponents.
We didn't even bring that up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's etched in stone in the record books forever.
And the longer he keeps fighting, he's going to keep. It'll be caught up with, I think, one day. But man, I hope it doesn't. You know, I'd love him to keep that record for forever. But if you know, say he fights another 3 years, because he is healthy, and he is making improvements all the time. Dude, man, he can rack some up for sure. And the beauty of that, I had said it in a post once he had the all-time record. And Derrick doesn't like to talk about it, and you know, I'll just kind of keep it brief. But the Knockout King tattoo that he has, he got that because of the reputation he got while he was in prison, you know. And now to be the official Knockout King in the largest, like, biggest fighting organization in the world, is there's beauty in that to me, man. Like, to turn his life around that way is so cool. So cool.
It's like full circle.
100%.
And I love the bond and the friendship that you guys
have.
have.
I would do anything in the world for him. Like I said, I like to joke. It's like, I don't even know if Derrick likes me, you know. But no, man, he's shown me such kindness, you know. And I've had a lot of fighters, you know, they'll burn you financially, you know, like it's just part of an unfortunate part of the business. Derrick has never let me down. Has always taken care of me, you know, financially, which allows me to help with my family and stuff. He's just a great person. And then just certain things he's done in our friendship to show the type of dude he is, the type of man he is. He's a great person.
Have you ever, this is kind of random, but have you ever asked him, like, where he finds those memes for his Instagram?
No, I'm telling you, and I get like so much hate for it because I hate that shit. I was like, dude, it's not funny, you know, just because I was like, it's all like unoriginal, bro. Yeah, I was like, come up with your own stuff. And he's like, you know, F you, Bob, you know, whatever. I just like to bust his balls. But like, I was like, man, you're reposting other people's stuff. He gets so mad at me. But no, I literally think he doesn't train. If he's not fighting, he's not training. So I literally think all day he just looks for stuff. He's an evil genius, man. He really is.
It's great content. I mean, even if it's not his content, but people are quoting him or repurposing it, all thinking it's him.
Oh,
he's
dude.
like built a brand off of it.
It's amazing. I love it, man. But like I said, I just like to. I was like, I hate that, Derrick. That's stupid. And every now and then I'll send him that like picture of Jesus kind of looking around the corner. You know, after when he sends something like or puts something like really horrible. I know one of the first things that he ever put up was like, I don't know, some dude on the roof of like a pool house, and he's gonna jump in the pool and like almost dies, and Dana like messaged him, and he's like, oh, I'm in trouble, like he's gonna get, and he's like, dude, that was hilarious. Dana was like, dude, that was awesome. So I think that was like his green light to just be crazy.
Boss says it's okay.
That's right.
It's okay to go.
That's right. That's right.
But what was it like when you two first met? I mean, I'm sure it was a long time ago.
So it's been about 10 years. You know, he was still, I mean, he's still got so much to like work on. But when I first met, I mean, he was just green, raw. And his other coach, his former coach, his first coach asked me if I would hold pads for him and give my feedback. And I did. And I'm like, this kid's special. They had a falling out or whatever, and he came to visit me. And, you know, he's like, hey, I'd like you to train me. What does it cost? You know, he didn't know the business. I said, well, normally this is what it's going to cost. But right now, my exact words I'll always remember. I was like, you don't have a pot to piss in, man. So I don't need you to pay me this fight, and even the next fight. Like, I need you to build trust with me and a bond with me. I'm not out for your money, and I'm not saying don't pay me now so I can get you later. I'm like, you're going to know I'm a good dude, and we're going to be all right. And that was like our first encounter. I mean, we'd seen each other through the fight scene locally, but I think, you know, Derrick's had so many people kind of do him wrong that, like, I think once he realized, hey, I can trust Bob, and Bob loves me, and I mean, it's beautiful. But Derrick's so quiet. There are times we're driving around or whatever, and like, if there wasn't music playing, like, not a word is said, because he's a quiet man.
Sometimes you learn a lot from people in silence.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
So there's a lot of silent moments between you two.
A lot. I don't know if I learned a lot, but no, he's just a cool guy, man. His kids, I love his son so much. The little one, well, he's not little anymore, but he literally looks like he took a chunk of Derrick and just made this little person. I think, he's really smart. Both his sons are smart. His oldest daughter, she's going to be going to college next year. But he's raising them. Like, I'm proud of how he's, like, just being a good dad. And I remember being at the house, this was a couple years ago, and he was yelling for the boys. And they didn't say what, or they didn't say huh. They were like, sir? And being from Texas, that's like, if I didn't say sir or ma'am, like younger, I'm getting my ass whipped, And like, they're good, respectful kids, man, for sure. They've got a great life too.
We need more of that too. Did you see that viral video of those kids bullying that one kid in England and stuff?
No.
Oh my gosh, that was hard to watch.
I can't. We live in a world where just bullying seems to be a common thread, and people posting it on social media, and it's like, I don't know where these kids get the idea that they could do this to somebody else. Like, where are their parents raising them? Where are the role models?
Yeah, man, it's an unfortunate reality that we're in that regard. And, I'm almost 50 years old. And so, man, I was in a bunch of fights as a kid, schoolyard fights or even in high school, whatever. But it's kind of one of those things, you get into a fight, even if you're being bullied or whatever, you get in a fight, they whip your ass or vice versa, and it's all good. But now it never seems to end with like the cyberbullying. Like, there's no like, hey, we're going to fight and we're going to squash it. It just doesn't stop. And then this poor kid, like I said, I didn't see the video, but it's going to be viral, and he's going to, people hate to say, they become suicidal, like kill themselves. That's horrible. You don't want to even think that. I'm a granddad. I'm going almost 6 grandkids now. And like, it's just, I'm very scared of that future because, and I'm not perfect by any means, but I do try to instill work ethic and kindness and discipline and just being a good person with my especially my grandkids, my grandsons, especially, to teach them how to be good men. We're missing that, man.
If social media is here to stay, which it is, and it's only getting more prevalent in people's lives, there's just got to be more positivity promoted through social media, more support groups, anti-bullying stuff.
Yes.
Like, literally just people. There are people out there that just want to be a part of things. And if you get them a part of something like this, spreading positivity, like the whole anti-bullying thing, if you could spread a message in a positive way and we have all the resources to do it, why don't we do it? Instead, we just focus on the negative and just shit on each other, shit on what's happening in the world, hating on people's religions, hitting on people's political views. Screw all that shit.
I'm over it. I'm tired of all of it, man. And I think it was Tyson that said, especially like people like cyberbullying or trolling or whatever. It's like, people don't get punched in the mouth anymore for like their actions. And that's, going back to like the troll thing. Like, man, it's kind of good sometimes to get your ass whipped. Everybody has to be put in their place sometimes. I'm not saying it has to be violent, but like, dude, you've got to be checked. Nobody's getting checked anymore, and I don't mean that to be harsh, but it's just kind of a reality, man. I'm not saying you got to whip everybody's ass, but like, dude, man, quit being an asshole, know? I as a coach, I try so hard to be positive and to be loving and be like father-like, because so many of my fighters didn't have dads or, had broken homes or whatever. And, everybody, they need people in their lives to keep them up. And we just keep fucking each other up, tearing people down, man. It's terrible.
Yeah. People lose the ability to talk to people in person, to have real conversations, because they're just hidden behind a keyboard. They think they can say whatever they want to say. Yeah. And that's a huge reason why we do this podcast in person. We don't do Zoom, or we did that in the beginning stages of doing this podcast, especially in the pandemic when we couldn't get people live here in studio. But the raw authenticity of just sitting in a room and having a real, genuine conversation, it's missing.
And I love that, man. So, and I have a science background, but like, I'm obviously no doctor or anything like that. But I have anxiety. I can't today. I have anxiety. And I think anxiety is a very real thing. Yeah. But it's exactly kind of hitting on what you said, because they're here. They don't have the ability or the social skills to interact, to have human connection, to speak face to face to somebody. And when they do, they freak out because they don't know what to do. And I think we're just, like I said earlier, this crazy times, man. But I think anxiety, like I said, is obviously real. But they'll kind of like just use that as an excuse to not have to deal with other people face to face. And that's sad, man. I don't want that. I don't think anybody does.
No, for sure. And there's ways to beat it. Like, keep setting an example and demonstrating that there are people out there that care, that want to have real, authentic conversations, and just, live life in a way they want to live it, rather than a lens that they think other people or their parents want them to live it in. And
absolutely,
you just got to put a stand. You got to be free thinking.
100%, man. Like, when you talk about like the impact of social media, especially on youth, or like even my daughters. My oldest is 27, the youngest is 21, and I like to tease my youngest one especially. I call her a baller on a budget because she has no money. She's 21 years old, but she's just figuring life out, and we're gonna help her always. We love her to death, but she's got to have on like these Gucci shoes or whatever, and I'm like, dude, you're broke. You ain't got no money. Yeah, like mom and dad have decent money, but like we're 50 and we've been working forever, So it's this. The whole Instagram versus reality thing, man. That's a very real thing. I can't. So if I ever like something that you guys post, it's because I got on to like check my DMs for business stuff or private lessons or whatever. And there's a Schmo, boom, I like it. Or there's Helen. I can't scroll through it. Like I've made the mistake of like looking at the discovery page every now and then, and I just get like angry. As patient as I am and loving as I think as I am. Oh man. Yeah, I'm gonna need. Yeah,
it's like it's a weird line for me, and Helen chime in because she sees me do it all the time. Like our business, for how we operate, a lot of it's based on social media.
Sure.
So I have to measure analytics. I have to look at things and see what's relevant and stuff like that. But it does eat at you. I know it eats at me, and Helen knows it eats at her. And like it's just being honest with it. Like
But sure.
I do my best to not read the comments, and that's something I know
That's something I try not to do. If Derrick or any of our higher like profile fighters, take an L, I'm like, stay off. Yeah. Stay off. Don't do that to yourself, man. Yeah. I remember with like Ronda Rousey, and like I didn't know her. We had many fight cards like together. But once she started losing, she was the greatest thing ever. And then once she started losing, she was on suicide watch, man. And like, come on, man. That's horrible. That's so rough, man. So rough. You don't wish that on anybody, man. On anybody.
But isn't it crazy how quickly people turn on you when you start losing?
100%. Man.
And how much they just want to jump on you when they perceive you as winning?
Man, that we see it all the time. Derrick literally changes his phone number every fight. So it's either like family members that he hasn't seen in years, or friends that, they don't call for a birthday or how's the family, or, hey, you want to go have a beer? Like, no, it's like, hey man, you just won $1 million, like what can you do for me? And it's horrible, man. It's bad.
And he's probably paid a lot of money to his family in the early days.
Derrick has taken very good care of a lot of people, man. And, I won't get too far into it. He's confided in me, but like, his heart's always in the right place. I think, sometimes just me as a friend, I'm like, buddy, do what you feel is right, but just be careful. Just be careful.
Yeah, sometimes it's scary to think that the more successful you become, the more, in a way, it's like you're a target, and everyone ends up wanting something from you, and you don't know their intentions.
That's the thing with this, you're winning, Everybody loves you. You lose, man, it's crickets. It's crickets, man. And I realized, like, as friends, like, you've reached out before, like, man, hey, Bob, we're sorry, like, we love you. That means so much to me. And I think a lot of times friends don't kind of know how to, approach it.
Yeah.
Is Bob going to be more hurt or angry if I, like, no, man, that's a good thing. Like, Derrick's going to have his phone off for a couple weeks until he can, get his head right. But me, I mean, I never, turn my phone off. But yeah, man, sometimes it's just like radio silence, and that hurts. But all these people, they always hit you up, man. I can do this for him. No, you can't. No, you cannot. He's got one of the best managers in the business, in my opinion, #1 company in the business, and they've taken very good care of him. I don't know if you know this, Derrick's the highest paid non-champion in UFC history. So like you see a lot of estimated salaries or whatever. I'm like, dude, that's not even close.
It's fake news.
It's fake news, yeah.
Yeah, so what they release to public is never the actual figure.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know
it's
where they get
figure.
that. Yeah, it's a
It's
figure.
maybe like a base or something without bonuses or anything.
Oh, no, it was like a third of what Derrick makes. And I'm like, dude, I don't know where y'all got this from. Yeah.
Well, rightfully so, heavyweights make the most
Oh,
money. He
100%.
just happens to be the knockout king and the artist.
Yeah.
And
And
rightfully
deserves-
so.
He's Derrick. Yeah,
It adds up.
Yeah,
He deserves it.
Absolutely. But to kind of retouch on it, I want to say it was Chuck Liddell, and you might be able to look up the quote, but he's like, man, when you're winning or you're champion, everybody loves you. And then when you lose, it's like you never deserved it in the first place, you know? And it's exactly right, man.
Yeah. From a Schmo perspective, at least all of us here at this table, like when we went to see you in February of 2019, it was a month before or 2 months before, like a lot of people in MMA and the UFC world noticed the Schmo and what the Schmo was all about. So you saw how like no one knew who I was.
Yeah.
And now if I'm in the same situation, it's the complete opposite.
Of course.
From like the first time I was in your gym to the most recent time I was in your gym. It's like night and day. And it's crazy how that works.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We're a strange species, man, for sure.
And when Helen does what she's going to do in her swimming career, it's going to be the same thing.
Absolutely. You know, and like I said, when you're in the public eye, you know, I'm just a coach, but man, I'll get it. You know, everybody that, you know, like it sucks. I remember several years ago, I had cornered with Coach Greg Jackson, who, man, I love that guy. You know, I saw him, it was at a UFC, and he's like, man, Coach, you're doing really well, and I'm seeing you at more and more. He's like, have people started hating on you yet? I'm like, yes, sir. He's like, well, then you're doing great, man. You know, it's like you're doing exactly what you need to be doing. I'm like, thank you, sir. You know, but it's true. It's true. I just focus on the positive and the positive people and my family and my goals. That's it, man. That's it. I'm happy.
And I'm happy to see how much your gym has grown too.
Yeah, I mean,
especially the past few years.
It's pretty amazing. So I'd say on average, like right now, we've got about 50 pro boxers, you know, and we've got guys that come from all over the world to do their camps with us. And then we've got about 50 MMA and Muay Thai fighters. And then we're redeveloping our amateur boxing program. So we have about 15. Actually, the Golden Gloves are going on right now back home. But yeah, so about 115, 120 fighters, about 600 members, you know. It's doing well.
And one of those members, correct me if I don't want to get this wrong, because I think I saw on social media, you know, your business partner who does the boxing side, Bobby, he trains this gentleman who's in his 70s and is winning titles and just won another title.
Let me tell you.
And he looks like he's 50.
Oh,
that's amazing.
His name is Rick. And Rick, I wish like some of these younger kids, even some of my younger fighters, you come in at 6 a.m. and see how this old man works. And this guy is a absolute savage. He is a geologist that still works. He's 73. He still works. He was a tenured professor, I believe, at the University of Houston. And he fights on the weekends. He trains every single morning, you know. And, you know, one of the first photos I ever put of him, like, he's jacked. And, you know, TRT, well, I'm sure he is. And I would too if, like he's 73 years old. But he'd whip your ass, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
You know, and, I mean, I love that, like, yin and yang. Because, like I said, he's, like, professor, geologist, has a ton of money. And he also goes and grinds it out every day with boxers and then fights on the weekends.
I just see this
awesome.
73-year-old man holding up championship belts with his boxing gloves, his wraps on. And I'm like, holy shit, this is the man.
It's amazing. And he's just like a pleasure to talk to, man. Like if you spoke to him, he'll talk to you about whatever you want to talk about. But if you listen to him to talk about the earth or geology or like science, oh my God, mind blowing.
That's crazy.
Mind blowing.
Yeah, David loves science and like alien talk.
So
all weird talk, but that's included.
I like that. I like that too, man.
That's
so
included.
Are you kind of under the impression that when we can't explain something that it was aliens?
There's so much we don't know,
Yes.
and everyone loves to have an answer for something, even though when they don't have the answer, and people are too insecure to say, hey, I just don't know.
No, for sure.
It drives me insane, but we know more about space than we do our oceans.
100%.
And there are so many different things that are out there, But one thing that is not out there is the absolute facts, the truth, 100%. So anything is possible. So there's nothing. So to answer your question, there's nothing evidently for me to go out there and say, Bob, you're fucking wrong. No chance, no way in hell, other than just my own opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm not naive to say that to you.
Yeah.
So that is 100% plausible, just like anything else could be.
Absolutely. So my wife, it drives her nuts because I will watch Ancient Aliens, and I am, like I said, I'm a former scientist, as you know, and it's kind of hard to sometimes break away from, I have to see this proven. But when it comes to that, man, especially, I'm thinking of getting a second degree in actually like anthropology, physical anthropology, or possibly archaeology. And I just want to go study like the pyramids in Mexico. And I'm absolutely fascinated with like Chichen Itza and the Yucatan, or Teotihuacan. And like, if you look at what's inside some of these, like it's pretty alien, man. It's kind of amazing.
It's crazy to think about. My favorite class in college was biological anthropology. Yeah. And I think maybe, where did I see it? Maybe it was like one of a Rogan podcast or something like that. But the eye in Africa and how that could have been Atlantis, like everything just adding up. But what I've been believing in more so now than ever before, it's like there's so many different theories. Like our species, humans, could have been aliens to this planet brought here to begin with.
Sure.
That's very plausible too.
Absolutely.
But I think how advanced we are as a society now, there is a possibility we were this advanced, maybe even further advanced, even technologically advanced, hundreds of thousands, dare I say millions of years ago.
Yeah, it's insane when you look at the pyramids. Have you been to the Yucatan and seen like Chichen Itza, El Castillo?
I want to. We want to go to Egypt to see the pyramids.
To.
Think about how perfectly shaped the pyramid is in Egypt, and think about how long ago that was.
That's the thing, and you have to actually kind of picture it covered in, I forget what stone that they had in abundance out in like the in Egypt, but it's not. You just see the remnants, and you see the rock.
You just see
stone.
sand. You see like the withering of
you have to
that
picture
material,
like white, like a shimmering white, and like gold at the top.
I'm sure.
And in Mexico, they would use like plaster. So you just see the stone right now, but they would use plaster, and they would use pigment from the earth, so either like a red or like aqua, like turquoise color. So these pyramids that you see, you have to kind of picture them, these really vibrant like turquoise and reds, but when you see, my point is how they're made. It's mind blowing how advanced they were. It's not. I couldn't do it.
Machu Picchu as well.
So I've never been to Peru, but I've always wanted to.
Me too.
To see
That's
that.
on my list too.
Yes, but so. The largest pyramid they actually, everybody I think believes is in Egypt, but no, it's in Mexico, right outside, about 30 minutes out of Mexico City, Teotihuacan. I think it's the Pyramid of the Moon. It's actually larger, and if you look at, and I'm sorry to ramble, man, but I'm a freaking nerd.
Yeah,
so
no.
He loves this.
So if you go to Chichen Itza, which is in the Yucatan, it's called El Castillo. Okay, that's the largest pyramid there. When you add the sides, including the platform, it equals 365. So in the spring and fall equinox, they believed in a god called Kukulkan, which is like this serpent god, which I think a lot of people have discussed, were mistaken for like spaceships or aliens, like this dragon or serpent. But the head of Kukulkan, so this snake head, is at the 4 bases. But during the spring and fall equinox, coming down the steps, the light rays form like cascading, undulating snake going down to the head of Kukulkan. So you can look it up. It's called, I think, the Descension or the Descent of Kukulkan, and it's a spring and fall equinox. But from the base or the platform of the pyramid to the base where each head is, it looks like an undulating snake from where the light rays are reflecting off of the stone. It's mind-blowing.
This planet's fascinating.
Absolutely.
There are so many different unique things. Even just, have you ever seen the Northern Lights?
I've never had. The Aurora Borealis is like one of those things where I'm like, and Lauren and Joe from Alaska, so I'm like, dude, you gotta like tell me about it. And they're like, we can't tell you about it just because you have to experience it.
It's breathtaking.
So you've checked it out? Like,
I've seen it in my late teens or early 20s. One time.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
I believe it, man. I absolutely believe it. What do you think?
We're gonna see it.
Yeah, I've
Sooner
only
than
seen
later.
images on Google.
Looks so beautiful, but like I just can't imagine
You
seeing
gotta
it.
contribute to these conversations.
Come on, get in, girl. Like I just can't.
She always shies off and just listens in the background.
Oh,
but-
man.
No, I enjoy listening.
See, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
We
I'm
can talk.
learning.
We can nerd out, man.
Yeah, no, I think it's always there's so many things that people are uncomfortable talking about, and they're always uncomfortable talking about when they don't know. But if they all of a sudden give something a label, or I believe in this, I believe in that, and they just shut it all off, like they're just gonna keep, having the same narrative or same viewpoint without ever checking it or challenging it or growing.
Absolutely. You mentioned
part of living.
Yeah, you mentioned biological anthropology, and if you look at it from like social anthropology, you have something called like cultural pluralism, and that's kind of like we're all different, and you have to kind of take these things. We believe what we believe, but you just kind of have to look at things like, okay, man, this isn't for me, but I'm not going to damn you for it or condemn you for it. At the end of that class, I remember in school, we had to go to a religious ceremony, a wedding, or something outside of our own belief system or our culture. And I went to a Sikh wedding, and it was beautiful. But my job as an anthropologist was just to observe and take notes on everything that I had. And I remember professor being like, guys, I do not want your opinion. Do not say, I believe in this and they believe in this. And sure as shit, a lot of them did. And of course they failed. But like, you just have to view these things like, man, we're all different. I have this fighter, and he's been MIA for about 7 or 8 months because he got married. His name is Iraj Aliyev, a 6 foot tall 125er, and just had his pro debut in Mexico last year. But
6 feet tall and 125.
125. He's from Tajikistan. So we went to go fight. I just cornered him by myself. We went to Mexico, and he's Muslim, and he calls me his dad, and I call him my son. So we had a lot of downtime. It's just the two of us, like I said. So I like to ask about his religion and his culture. Like, I want to know him on a personal level. And he said something to me, honestly, that'll kind of always stick to me. So, this is out of my ignorance. I'm like, being that it's, the vast majority is going to be Muslim there. Is this something that you're born into? Like, I was born Mexican Catholic, dude, I'm going to die. That's just how it is, as far as like my family's concerned or our culture is concerned. But he's like, no, coach, I didn't have to choose being Muslim. I could have, chosen whatever I wanted. He goes, this is just what's best for me. He goes, man, you have to think 30 years ago in my country, if you believed in God, they'd kill you. And we forget those things. I forgot that, like it's insane, man. It's insane what some of these people have to go through, man.
It all leads to the same thing, but like, why have everybody believe in the same thing? Like, why the conformity? What's the purpose behind it?
Yep, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
You need to question things.
For sure, absolutely. I love talking religion, cultures, politics. Of course, you're always kind of, like on the fence about. But man, you can tell me whatever you believe in. That's cool, man. It doesn't mean that's what I believe. It's just you have to get to know people, man,
and have an open mind.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we won't talk politics.
No, God,
all
no.
it does is just divide people.
Yeah.
That's the thing, man.
The second I open up about politics, I just cut 50% of the audience.
And that's what's scary about it, man. That's what's scary about it. But like, you and I, a personal conversation, man, I'd love to know what you think, just because, like, dude, we're the same. We're definitely the same, people think a little differently sometimes.
For sure. No, it's a great mindset and a great topic to have leading into UFC 272.
Yeah.
We're talking about a huge grudge match between two former teammates.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if that happened at your gym?
Dude, I can't. I think Top Team's such a massive gym. And I don't know this. I think you might have your little, like, separatism in there maybe with certain coaches or certain groups of fighters. I don't know if that's the case, but it's a massive gym. And I don't know how the beef started, but I just can't imagine that happening at our gym. That would be insane.
Well, I think from what I've been reading, at least this past week, Jorge's been saying that Colby, according to him, didn't pay one of his coaches, and it kind of stemmed from there.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I can easily see that, And I mean, I'm not saying, Covington, like, but I mean, it could happen. It could happen, and it could definitely cause some bad blood.
But do you think there's an advantage to either Colby or Jorge in regards to, like, now Colby's training with MMA Masters, like a new team, but Jorge's still training with the same coaches that are familiar with Colby?
And that region, I guess, is so tight. Like, I know Colby's coaches know Jorge. I know Jorge's coaches certainly know Colby. It all overlaps.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I mean, going to a new gym is either going to be really good, and I think this is the second fight that he's been with MMA Masters, I think, Covington. Maybe third.
I think third.
But yeah, he seems to be obviously doing well, and he likes it, and it's a very good gym. But I think the familiarity of your team and your coach, and knowing that they know your opponent, I like that fight for Jorge for sure, for Masvidal. I like that fight.
You think he wins?
I think he's gonna win.
Yeah, I think
it's going to be a fight.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one thing. Colby can fight, and the man can wrestle.
My thought right now, I mean, here's how it goes. If this thing goes to a decision, I like Colby. But if this fight ends at any point before a decision, I got Jorge.
I think Masvidal's going to finish him. I do. I really do. I mean, he's such a dog. He technically, I think, just gotten better and better. Was it Usman that caught him with the peel? That was kind of it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful what Usman did. But man, I love his style, and he's just a dog, man. He's mean.
He is a dog.
He's mean.
If you're gonna know, I think in the first minute,
I think so,
how this fight's gonna go, because if Colby can't take him down, and then we're in for a fight.
Yeah. And I think Masvidal's the kind of guy, kind of like Derrick, where like, man, get mad. Because I think a lot of fighters, it's to their disadvantage when they get emotional or whatever. But, man, if you want to get knocked out, piss off Derrick. But piss him off. Piss off Jorge.
Here's how I want to give Jorge props. How cool, calm, and collected is he leading up into the moment fight?
100%.
Like, everything through how he walks out, how he handles Hall Fight Week.
Yes.
His demeanor, it's like it's Scarface-esque.
100%.
And that's why it comes out
that's
to
a great, that's a great way to put it. He's been fighting since he was almost 16, something like that.
The street brawling,
I mean,
the backyard brawling.
You don't give a damn, and he's just cool, calm, and collected. But those emotions, I guarantee, are in there, and it's going to come out when he gets to swinging.
Well, since we're talking about welterweights, what's your thoughts on Khamzat?
Stud.
Yeah.
Stud. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of like, I mean, what's his record right now?
10-0.
10-0, right? He doesn't have the experience, but even his training partner, Alexander Gustafsson, you talk about one of the best guys ever to not win a belt, Hall of Fame career, you can argue, of course.
Absolutely.
So he even said he's a lot to handle. Like, he is the real deal.
Yeah, no.
If Gus says he's the real deal,
you better believe it, 100%. I think he's just going to keep getting better, obviously, with experience. Did you see how many are in the UFC out of the 10? It's like maybe 6?
5
4.
for sure.
4? Okay,
Yeah. 4.
Okay. Because I remember him coming in not having a ton of fights. But, I mean, stud, that's the best, adjective, man. And I think as he progresses and just keeps learning and growing in this environment, I mean, they're all sharks. All the coaches are sharks. All the fighters are sharks. They're no fish. All the fish are gone. And, to see him in this, arena, he's just going to keep getting better and better and better.
Whether there's a title on the line or not, the fantasy matchup I want to see at 170 over the next year, 2 years, few years, is Khamzat Chimaev versus Islam Makhachev.
Oh, my God. Yeah. I would definitely.
Yeah,
I'd pay to see that for sure.
That's my.
How far down the line do you think that could be?
Year and a half minimum. Yeah. To 3 years.
Yeah. I'd think about 2 years. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be a hell of a fight.
Awesome.
Hell of a fight.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say that this episode of the podcast is brought to you by Sheath Underwear. Very comfortable underwear. Got you a couple pairs. I just grabbed them. I'm not sure what sizes. I'll get you the right sizes.
I love it, man.
It separates the balls from the shaft.
Nice.
It's unique.
Nice, because I'm old.
I
need that separation.
And it's comfortable.
Hell yeah, man. Did you hear that, guys? I can be a spokesman too, man.
100%.
I'm old.
Definitely. He needs it.
Thank you,
Promo
brother.
code Schmo,
Thank you. That's
sheathunderwear.com.
right. I love it, man. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
What do you have to say, Helen Yee, with Helen Yee Sports?
We appreciate you having you on. And I know not only do you have Kevin Holland this weekend, but also we had Laura Murphy in not too long ago. She has that fight against Misha Tate.
Yeah,
We're waiting to see if it's main event.
I don't know. I'm kind of like, we train and that's it. I love her to death. I talked to her last night, but we have no idea. The only thing I could think of is, like I said, I don't know if there were going to be females headlining like the card before. I have a feeling that there is, but I could easily see that being a headliner.
Is the females headlining, isn't it Amanda Lemos and Jessica Andrade?
That is it. I think that is the fight. I think it's right before. So I don't think that, I don't know if the UFC would stack or
What's the
piggyback.
date for that one?
May the 14th.
Yes, that's right.
May 14th. But yeah, she's coming up. Love her to death. And shout out to Coach Joe, her husband. He's amazing. He's our jiu-jitsu coach at the gym, and he's been working with Derrick a lot lately.
The baddest blue belt.
Yeah, exactly. One stripe blue belt.
Oh,
So, well, we'll
nice.
give him. He got some takedowns for this one, so we'll give him another stripe. But Rafael Alves is fighting April 30th, and I'm telling you, he's somebody to watch, man. He is an absolute freak, and I got him for the Mark DeCasey fight. That's when I did his first camp with him, and he's a pleasure to work with, an absolute animal. So he's fighting April 30th.
Awesome. We appreciate you coming in the Schmozone.
Thank you, man. I want to come back again. I want to talk more nerd stuff.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It took a great twist.
He loves it.
Yeah.
Because, and once I do have to add, we were driving at night and then you saw this green light shoot from the sky really far away. And you're like, Helen, come look. What is that? And I was like, isn't that from the Luxor or something?
Oh, man. Did you figure out what it was?
Was it? It was somewhere on the strip.
If that was the case,
Yeah.
I think she's fabricating the story.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
come on.
Exactly.
There was a night, and it was
Was it
towards
an
the
alien?
military base. No,
yeah.
she's
Come on, David. Born and raised here.
not far from Area 51.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You could be in on the whole thing, Helen. You could be in on the whole thing.
Now you're thinking the right way.
But no, man, thank you guys, man. I love you guys. Always great to hang out with you, for sure.
We love you too. Episode
thank you.
96 of the Schmozone podcast.
Greatest episode ever.
We are out.
Also, the best draft year, 1996, in NBA history. Kobe Bryant,
Oh,
Ray
geez.
Allen,
Wow.
Allen Iverson, so many legends.